To inform the Bazukulu, the 6th of February, 1981, at 0000 hours, saa mbili za asubuhi, is when the 43 of us, but with 27 rifles, attacked the huge garrison of the Kabamba Military Training School with the aim of regaining some of the 9,000 rifles Fronasa had handed to the joint force created after the defeat of Idi Amin. This united force had been given the designation of the UNLA. That was the army which we created after the defeat of Idi Amin. Although the attack itself, by God's superior intervention, did not succeed, when a Tanzanian corporal, following Tumwine's pistol fire at the quarter guard, rushed into the underground armory and used an LMG to defend it against us, we collected about 40 rifles from the houses around, captured 8 lorries, were joined by some of our fighters, such as Chakabare Anthony, known as RPG also, successfully drove our fleet of vehicles through Kasambia, Nabingora, Chejegwa, Chenjojo, Kagadi, Isunga, Karuguza, Nkoko, Ntwetwe, Masode, and by 0200 hours, saa 8 za usiku of the Europeans say 7th, but would say 6th of February, drove through Chiboga town and camped at Budimbo in Matovo's farm. With that partial success, the revolutionary forces in Uganda had, after due warnings to the other groups, established an alternative power center in Uganda. I say that the failure to capture the 1,000 rifles stored at Kabamba was God's intervention, because at that time, even if we had captured those guns, the government could have recaptured them from us, because we had not yet gathered the thousands of our soldiers that the UPC had deliberately scattered all over Uganda. Saleh was in Karamoja, Ivan in Pakwach, Mugume Joram in Moroto, Mugume Chaga was in Jinja, Pecos in Nakasongora, etc. So were the militants scattered all over Uganda. It was therefore God's intervention that we were able to launch the challenge to the UPC, but not to be burdened with the 1,000 rifles that had no people to immediately carry them. Indeed, on the 9th of February, the government forces surprised our temporary camp at Kagobe, Kagurire's home, and recaptured some equipment, including my briefcase. In my briefcase, there was a document on which our new structure of the resistance army had been written. On the 7th of February, at Budimbo, after looking for food and eating, I assembled the fighters and organized them as follows. Section 1, Sam Magara, Commander. Section 2, Er Tumwine. Section 3, Hannington Mugabe. Section 4, Jack Mchunguzi. And a few individuals, initially under Kabula, constituted the bodyguard of the chairman of the High Command. That is yours and truly, Yoweri Museveni, the one who is speaking now. Each of the sections had 12 rifles. By the end of the 6th of February, 1981, we therefore had about 60 rifles compared to the 27 rifles we had started with in the morning. We had also picked a very good RPG-7B from Isunga police station near Kakumiro. When the UNLA, the government army that time, showed Mr. Obote and Mr. Paulo Mwanga the parade state of our army, the PRA as we were calling it that time, they just laughed with contempt. They had forgotten the biology, which informs us that a healthy zygote, I hope you people you still remember biology. Zygote is a very young embryo, may end up as a giant human being. That small zygote you may see on the scan in the womb of a woman may end up with a giant human being. However, the zygote must be a healthy one. Because if the zygote is not healthy, it will abort or something will happen. 1986, that is 5 years later, 11 days after the successful storming of Kampala, the 4 sections of the PRA of the 7th of February 1981 had grown as follows. 1st Battalion, Pecos Kutesa and Fred Mugisha. 3rd Battalion, Patrick Lumumba. 5th Battalion, Stephen Kashaka and Ahmed Kashiringi. 7th Battalion, Matai Charugonza and Stanley Mhanji. 9th Battalion, Julius Chanda. 11th Battalion, Chef Ali. 13th Battalion, Ivan Koreta. 15th Battalion, Samson Mande. 17th Battalion, Adam Waswa. 19th Battalion, Peter Kerim. 21 Battalion, Benon Tumkunde. Special Force, Jet Mwebazi. High Command Force, Akanga Vyarhanga. Each of these battalions had 1,500 rifles. Remember, we started with 27 rifles. But after 5 years, each of these battalions had 1,500 rifles, except 19th Battalion, which had 1,900 rifles. The mobile brigade under Salim Saleh was comprised of the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 13th, and 15th. The 11th and the 19th had been detached to the western axis under Tinyafuza, plus numerous support arms, mortars, recoilless cannons, 14.5 millimeter, 37 millimeter, a few Strellas, etc. Tumwine was the army commander, and Fred Rigema was the deputy army commander. Why such growth in such a short time? It was on account of the following reasons. Number one, people being desperately fed up with the brutality and non-accountability of the old armies, the colonial army, Uganda army, and the other one, UNLA. So you, UPDF, must be very careful. You must never adopt the habits of these old armies: brutality, corruption, If you do that, the people will hate you. And that's what had happened. The people hated those armies. Number two, UPC, that was the political party which had grabbed power, blocking the democratic process of genuine and constructive debate that we warned them about many times, but they never paid heed to our warnings. Number three, the collapse of the economy. Those who are old enough, remember there were no consumer goods, no wealth production. There was what they were calling magendo, smuggling, chibanda, foreign currency black market, and kusamra. Kusamra was speculation. But also, number four, the correct ideology of the NRM comprised of the four principles of patriotism, love Uganda, don't concentrate on tribes and religious sectarianism. Uganda is more useful to us than the tribal groups or the religious sectarianism. Love Africa, Pan-Africanism, because we need Africa for prosperity, for a wider market, socio-economic transformation. We must have a new society. We must have modern Ugandans. We cannot have peasants producing other peasants. Omunyakyaro nasiga omunyakyaro ndijo obwensi tekubasa kutunguka. And democracy. These were the four principles that we relied on. But also a correct strategy for military struggle and tactics of the NRA, PRA. The correct principles of the NRM united our people as never before. The Ugandans were united because we were telling them about loving Uganda. We were not telling them about tribalism. We were not telling them about religious sectarianism, which was the problem in the past. So they united. They have been united all this time. That's why the NRM always wins elections on the first round. Our constitution says that if you don't get more than 50%, you must go for a rerun. But we have never gone for a rerun. We always win on the first round. Why? Because the majority of the people are united around the principles of the NRM. On the military side, the strategy of the protracted People's War with the tactical battles of quick decision enabled the NRA to metamorphose from a small force of a few sections to a powerful force of brigades. But I must tell you that of these 20,000 rifles, which we had by 1986, we had got 800 rifles from Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. You know Muammar Gaddafi who was killed by the Europeans and the Americans. He had given us 800 rifles, plus 1 million rounds of ammunition. And Mwalimu Nyerere, marehemu, had given us 5,000 rifles with 1 million rounds of ammunition. So I want to thank the people of Tanzania and the people of Libya for the support they have given us all these years. It's not the first time. This was also one more round. So when I say 20,000, 5,000 from Mwalimu, 800 from Gaddafi, the rest captured from our quartermaster, the government army. We were capturing from the government. Mr. Obote would buy guns from North Korea and we take them from him. It was a very easy arrangement. When we won power, again the NRM put out a correct strategy which has achieved the following: minimum economic recovery, expansion of the small enclave economy of the 3 Cs and 3 Ts after it had recovered by 2005. I don't have time to go into these details, but the small economy, small money economy, which the British left here in 1962, what we call enclave economy, island economy of modernity, surrounded by a sea of traditional economic activities, which were not money activities, was characterized as the economy of the 3 Cs and the 3 Ts. 3 Cs were cotton, coffee, and copper. And 3 Ts were tobacco, tourism, and tea. Now, during Amin's time, all the 2 Cs collapsed, copper collapsed, cotton collapsed. It was only coffee which was still limping on. And then the 3 Ts, tourism collapsed, tea collapsed, it was only tobacco. So by 1986, the small money economy had almost disappeared. So therefore, when we came in, that's what I'm telling you, that aim number 1 was minimum, bring back that small modern economy, money economy, bring it back. And we call that minimum economic recovery. But number 2, expand it. Expand. Like, for instance, if you take tea, the best example was tea. In 1971, tea production was 23 million kilograms of tea exported. By 1986, this had collapsed to 3 million kilograms. But today, the export of tea is 60 million kilograms. So we have gone back to the 1971 level and overtaken it almost 2 times. So that's what I'm talking about here. Minimum recovery, but secondly, expansion, expanding it. Even the livestock, 1967, Uganda had about 7 million heads of cattle. By 1986, this had shrunk to 3 million. But as I speak today, Uganda has got 14 million cows. So it is the same. Minimum recovery, number one. Number two, expansion. But number three, also diversify. Because like your MP Rukari, he touched on it during the time of the British. Milk, maziwa, was not regarded as a cash product. Milk was regarded as just a food to be eaten at home. No money to be earned from milk. But as you know now, milk is a big earner of money for you people. Bananas, the same. Bananas were just for eating according to the British. Fruits. So, our achievements have been, number one, restore what the British had left. Number two, expand it. But number three, diversify. So therefore, we are not only just bringing back the old small economy of the British, expanding it, diversifying it, but we are building a new economy based on the intellect of people, on the human knowledge and the skills. So this is how we have come now. I had Major General Ibumba giving some figures. Those figures are far out of date. The economy is much bigger than what he was talking about. But from now on, this is what I want you to do. So I congratulate everybody who has contributed to the struggle, but also to the reconstruction. All of you, congratulations.